And again, we've got instructions here. Here's the grade waiver player process, and here's the template. So, you know, section 9 and 10. Here's how you can look at your list of players or coaches and see what their 7-digit numbers are to make sure you get the correct ones. So I'm going to go through how to build a roster. You start at join and come down to register, all the way to the bottom. Oh, yeah, never mind. Ohio Valley Region member registration information. This is the same screen you've seen for 8 years. This is the 9th season. So if you're going to do, say, a girls team, I'm going to cheat and use mine. You know, I've got a thing called Test Club. So I'm going to go with team names, try to keep them succinct. You know, quite honestly, 17 Purple is a bad name because we may end up with 5 different 17 Purples at the same tournament. So you might want to put some part of your club name, not the full club name, but, you know, if it's, you know, initials that you could put instead of the full club name, just to make it slightly different from the other 17 Purples. And the gender. Here's where you're going to see all the divisions, because now you're on the OVR platform. And so, you know, you can pick whatever division, select the role, say this is going to be the head coach. I'm going to make myself the head coach just because that's a number I know. Now, something to look for. If it comes up with this registration number, that means they're already associated with something. So if this were a player and it comes up with a registration number, they're already on somebody else's team. So don't try to add them to a second team. And then, you know, you would continue. You put in, you know, say you've got a chaperone. Remember, chaperones can be this COVID team liaison. That's how you would put them on the roster as a chaperone. Players, you know, you would fill in however many assistant coach, player 1, player 2, etc. And then all the way to the bottom, there's submit. Again, the same caveat as before. Watch telephone numbers. You know, the telephone number has to match the 3, you know, area code dash exchange dash and then local number. If it doesn't, delete the sucker. Get rid of it. You've got all the phone numbers over in Sport Engine anyway. You know, just don't worry about it here if somebody messed up their phone number. Things you can't fix. We've already seen, you know, somebody who puts, you know, I live at 4440 Merlin. Well, they leave the space out so it concatenates it all together. He doesn't like that. So in those kind of things, you got to send me a note and I can go in and fix that and then send you a note back. So some of the data you can fix, some of the data you can't. If you've got a junior's age coach, you know, a junior in high school, a senior in high school, whatever. If they're a coach, delete the grade and delete the graduation year. Leave it if they're a player, but if they're a coach and you're adding them as an assistant coach, delete those.
What if they play for another club? But
no. This is just for this roster. You're
Okay.
just deleting it for this roster
That's
because
what I'm saying.
it doesn't like having underage coaches.
Okay. It
So,
doesn't
yeah,
matter
it's
if he
just
plays
that
for
person.
another club.
Sorry.
So it doesn't matter if he plays for another club. If he just for us, you still take out the graduation year and his grade.
Great. Yeah, any underage player where this information, or sorry, any underage coach that this information is there, deleted before you submit. Now, Kathy brought up a good point. Your coaches, you can have a coach for you and coach for somebody else. Or, in some cases, a club director may have run their own club and coach for somebody else. In the past, you had to contact me and I had to go in and flip their club name back and forth. Now it lets them have a second membership with that second club. They don't have to pay for it because they've already paid for one. But that other club just sends them a club assignment request for their club, and they can accept it and have two, coach memberships for the price of one, so to speak.
Al,
So that is something different.
another question. Sorry, if you weren't finished, go ahead and finish that one.
Nope, go ahead.
Okay, so if somebody, if coach enters the 7-digit number from Sports Engine and they get a message that's no USAV ID match or whatever, have you encountered that, and how's that resolved? If the
Well, two
number
different things. If it comes back and says, not found, be careful. There is a 1-day delay. If they just registered today, you got to wait until after 9 o'clock tomorrow morning to give me time to download that from Sport Engine to the OVR. So, you can't be an eager beaver and just sit there with them and help them register and then turn around and try to put them in the OVR right away. There is a delay. Another issue we're running into is with these parents that end up buying themselves a membership first, and then we get that canceled. Well, we've already downloaded it. We didn't know it at the time, so we've downloaded it. That when the player gets downloaded, sometimes it leaves the adult membership code. So the OVR then says, oh, you're trying to add them as a player, but they're an adult. So that may give you that wrong ID type or wrong role. And there you'd have to, send me the name and the number so I can look up and see, is that situation where we have downloaded them as an adult and they're really a junior, or vice versa. That's one thing that I've seen I've only seen one or two of them, not very frequent.
Hey, one more thing, Al.
If you do get that and you have very closely entered the 7 digits, because I had one earlier today where, this doesn't work. I get, wrong, no ID. I copied and pasted it and it worked just fine. So, be careful, if you have the slightest typing error or a space at the end or something, it could throw it off. But that's the only thing. Again, if you do run into it and you can't get it entered, you're very diligent on what you're entering, send me the name and the number and I'll look into it. And what club, what team, give me some information, not just, I have a coach.
Hey, Al, while you're in this area, you mentioned about the delay for the next day.
Right.
When we get closer to tournaments and you're trying to put a team together, understand that tournament directors are pulling the rosters on Wednesday or Thursday. And so you'll have to have the team built by Monday or Tuesday of that week in order to get an accurate roster.
And in that case, if you do add somebody late, you'll have to hand enter them on the roster at the tournament site, because they should have a copy of your roster. So make sure you take the player's name and number with you so that you can hand enter it onto the roster and turn that in at the tournament desk. So again, this is an entire team. You can do, I think it's up to, I don't know, 12 or 13 people. Yeah. Including coaches, chaperone, etc. Once you've got the team built, though, and you need to add onesies and twosies. If you're just adding one person, you go to add-ons, pick the gender, and this again prompts you for your information and then lets you add one additional person, whether it's a coach or director or player, whatever. So that's a one at a time. Chris has also developed the capability of doing multiple. So I think it's up to 6, Chris?
I think you can do 12 on that one too.
Oh, is it up to 12 on that also? So,
Yeah.
if you go through that link, it takes you to your roster, I believe, and lets you do more than one at one time. So, like I said, he's done a lot of great work for the region.
Is that for multiple teams though, Al?
No, it's one team at a time, because you've got to
Okay.
pick the team. The other thing, this is going to sound weird. Do not, and I repeat, do not log into the OVR up in the right-hand corner if you're going to be playing with add-ons. It tries to help you, and it doesn't do a very good job. So do not log in if you're going to do the add-ons. It will then prompt you for what is your club and what team do you want. Otherwise, if you have logged in, it will just ask you for what, it will already fill in the club for you because it knows what club you're with. And then it won't give you an option to pick a team. So, like I said, it sounds weird, but do not log in when you're going to be doing add-ons. And that is a heck of a lot of information.
I was going to say, yeah, we've kept everybody on. Nearly everybody has stayed on this entire time. We're at an hour and 40 minutes, and that's a pretty long stretch. We can give 1 or 2 minutes if anybody has any questions that are broad-based kind of things that have been touched on or you wish would have been touched on. But it sounds like really maybe one of the most beneficial parts was coaches. Coaches and club directors who've had a chance to play around with Sports Engine already, sharing some information with one another. I think that part was very helpful, and having it up on screen where Chris and Al could pull things up was super for that purpose as well. So,
do we want to go ahead and do this again next Wednesday? You bring your questions, and because I believe we can make anybody a presenter and share their screen. So do kind of kumbaya, and
Jerry just said, "This is too funny. I got to share it." She said, "Is anybody else becoming an alcoholic because of Sports Engine?" That was perfect.
Yeah. So again, if you can, if you haven't yet read the FAQs, read both the director's FAQ and the parent's FAQ. That's I think some good stuff they finally sent out. That was I don't know, Monday of last week or something. And again, a lot of the information we try to make available right here in the resources links. So it saves you from having to go looking for things. Oh, that was the other thing. Here's how to get to the concussion course if you need it. And here's how to get to information on how to take their safe sport, their impact, or their background screen. If they need any of those 3, they can come here, and it directs them on how to find which they're missing. But like I said, we also showed you how you can send them the reminder of what they're missing. But then you got to remind them to read their reminder.
For what it's worth, Jerry, a few people have privately responded in the chat room that yes, Sports Engine has driven them over the edge. So,
If it wasn't COVID, it was Sport Engine.
right. With that, I think for the good of the order, let's go ahead and kind of wrap this one up. And then between now and next week, you guys can communicate with Al. I don't mind getting it set back up if we think sharing some screen time is a good option again for the club directors meeting. And I'll, as soon as we're done, I'm going to close out the recording. I don't know how it's going to turn out. We've recorded it. I'll take a look, and if it's good stuff, we'll put it out there for people to go back through. I especially think the Sports Engine portion where some of you were sharing your ideas is going to be pretty helpful to others
Yeah,
as well.
I really appreciate the comments you were making, because you guys are right on the front line, and you've tried things, and it helps to hear those kind of things from you. So we could try breaking next week's Wednesday into the first half hour for COVID, second half hour for Sport Engine or whatever. Just share that time rather than adding another night to the process. So thank you all.
Real quick, Al, ask one question so we can make sure we get everybody in here. When I try to print my roster, and I don't know if this is from OVR, I'm assuming, Carrie, when I try to print my roster, only the coach is showing up, so she's thinking she missed a step somewhere. Carrie, is that through the OVR roster you're referring to, or something on Sports Engine?
Sports Engine.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that doesn't sound familiar. I would think you would see everything. I mean, when you were looking at the team, it showed that you had 8 players that were all eligible, or I don't know.
That one's beyond my pay grade. Chris,
Yeah.
any ideas on that one? Chris, printing a
I
roster?
don't know. It's working for me. I can see my roster. Can I do that? And maybe, I mean, you have, I hate to say it, but you have athletes on that team?
That are eligible.
Right. If it says 0 for 10, then they won't show up.
Yeah, she just said she thinks it's eligible, maybe an eligibility issue. Only those who are eligible are going to show up. So yeah, I think she might have
Right.
might have just discovered that.
Yep.
Okay, with that, I think we've hit all of our questions in the chat box.